Ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ bájò, ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ bájò, olúwa mi ò dìde ojó
The Ashen Forge. The Ashen Forge.
Hello and welcome to the Ashen Forge. I am Phantom X, joined by Diggs. Actually, this time, Legendary Neurotoxin is taking the night off, so it's just us two. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Well, we are gonna try to go at this ourselves. I think we'll be just fine. Always miss having Neuro here, though. But yeah. So, what you been up to this week?
Recuperating from my trip to Denver, and Friday there was a birthday party at one of the studios I go to, so that meant we were celebrating, and they kept me out until 1:30, so I was like dancing for 6 hours. So I'm still recuperating from that. Also, I'm playing the Battle Pass for Lego Fortnite, really Fortnite, but focusing on Lego Fortnite. They have Greek gods as the focus. They also have they still have Ninja Turtles. So I'm collecting some skins for that for Lego Fortnite. They just dropped a new building set, barns, farms, which you might be interested in if you were playing Lego Fortnite.
I gave it a go, a very brief go.
Yeah. No, they added farms and pigs and bears, and we now have 2 different kinds of chickens, 2 different kinds of cows. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I like playing the battle passes. I need to get back to Nightingale at some point, and I probably need to check the battle passes for World of Warcraft and New World at some point. That is my new solution to endgame. The endgame treadmill is battle passes. So
Yeah, I tried Fortnite for Lego Fortnite for a little bit. I had this sort of revelation. I think it was when I was with Vladis on his 1v1 talking about Nightingale and how that's
when
not.
was that?
Oh gosh,
When was that?
last
Tuesday,
week?
Wednesday?
Yeah,
Wednesday?
Or was it this week? I don't even remember now.
I think it was this past Wednesday or Tuesday, maybe. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, and actually, now that I think about it, I will link this to this in YouTube. But we were talking about Nightingale, and I sort of casually mentioned, it's a game that I did not think I would spend time in, and I turned out spending a lot of time in. And the reason for that, and I'm tired. There's a reason this came to mind with Fortnite. Is that I had you all to play with. Like there was, even when we weren't playing together, there was still conversation in Discord. Hey, this, answering questions for that. And I was knowledgeable. Now I'm not probably knowledgeable at this point with the new update and everything, and I haven't joined back in. But that was all the result of playing with you all. So you look at Lego Fortnite, something like that. I haven't had anyone to play with. So just, I lasted for maybe an hour and it was like, all right. Yep, saw what I saw, and time to move on. So, yeah, CS2, yeah, right.
Yep.
Lego Fortnite, not Fortnite. Although Fortnite's not bad. That's not bad at all. Well, we've got a lot of stuff that I've kind of put together. Don't know if we'll have time for it all. First thing that I wanted, we obviously have the stream coming up. Live stream is Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, right? Hey Vladis, thank you very much. I'm about to get to y'all's brand new news here. Yes, thank you, Vladis, for the raid. And everybody joining us, those of you who don't know us, I am Phantom X, and I have Diggs with me, and the legendary Neurotoxin usually joins us as our third, but he's just not here tonight. So And Royer, yes, all the amazing folks are here. This is great. And I was just about to get to that. We are, let me get to my screen here. It was a surprise announcement today of a Q&A. Kind of surprise, depending on who you talk to. But actually, it was a surprise. Hey, it's Fupo too. We have 4 wonderful creators. I did not know there would be 4. That was a surprise to me, and I'm excited for all of them. Vladis, of course, who just rated us. Nice Gaming, Loreforged, and Jamie Chaos. So folks that we know quite well. Very excited for them.
I will say it was a surprise to Margaret.
What? A surprise to Margaret?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're getting into a chat that is not meant to be public, I believe. So
I don't know about that. I'm just saying I was talking to Margaret and she was like, "What are
oh,
you talking
oh,
about?" And I was like, "I don't know. There's rumors because there's a what is it? It's Ashes of what is it? Content creators. It's just these guys are a part of a server, and I think Steven was friending some people. Um, and that was last week. Some friending was going on, and we're like, why are all these content creators getting friended by Steven all of a sudden? Margaret was like, I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know what's going on. So
yes, that was.
now we know why.
Yeah, that one was fun. He had to be sitting there thinking, "What in the hell is going on? Why am I getting hit up with all these friend requests?" But yeah, no, I'm excited for all of them. It sounds like if I was piecing together streams in chat today, there's 5 questions apiece, so 20 questions total that they'll get to go through. Vladis was actually streaming today, kind of taking questions. I'm going to have some of his all. Sorry, hating on BDO. Well, we'll get to that. And then Jamie Chaos actually has his on Discord. So follow them and you'll be pretty easily find where those things are. I figure if we get some public knowledge of their questions, we might look at it. But that is not for several days, May 10th. Actually, that was also sooner than I thought. I did not anticipate it happening so quick. So we're excited. Well earned, well deserved. These content creators, these folks, if you don't know them, follow them. They put in a lot of time. Pretty much 7 days a week. If you want to watch something Ashes of Creation in the evenings, at least over here in the U.S., one of them is going to be on talking about it. So, yeah.
I think we're gonna get some good questions from the hosts themselves. Of course, people are going to be hating on all the questions. Any question that they ask is going to be a horrible question. But I'm thinking we'll get some good answers from Steven. So
Yeah, I mean that's been we've been luckily blessed enough to have him 3 times, and each time, well, actually the first time I don't think anybody really. That was way early. That was what 27. That was pre Peon.
I think it was 2018. I think it was February of 2018.
Yeah, it was pre big hype, but yeah, definitely this is y'all's time. You only get 5 questions. Take it. Do your questions. Somebody in the community will always be upset that they either didn't get the answer to their question or you asked a stupid question per their opinion. So I would just take your 5 and run with it. You've earned it. Spend your time. There's some whispers that there might also be some individual stuff because, of course, each of these folks also have their own individual channels or shows. And so I think maybe 1v1 Tangents of Creation. There might be something further down the line that's a little bit more one-on-one. So a lot of excitement. I'm happy to see all of this coming back around. It was around this time last year when there were several content creator streams, and it's kind of died off. So it's really fun to see it.
I'm wondering if we have legendary neurotoxin as an alt in chat because he's in here on chat. He could be in here on cam. I'm kidding.
Yeah, happy he's joining us too.
Of course.
So, if you had five, we kind of did this last week, didn't we? If you, I won't say give me 5 questions, but if you had Stephen on for 1 question, I think you said you didn't have a question, right?
I don't really have a question. My question was something about caravans, and I think it has to do with do you have to have a caravan? Are caravans required in order to progress nodes? Like, and that's pretty much what's the likelihood of being able to progress um, nodes, past the stage 3 without using caravans? That's my question at the moment.
And I can't really go into questions because people will try to read the tea leaves, and
Anything you say.
I have to be careful.
He mentions leaves.
Yeah, I know. Why did you ask that? What does that mean? I wanted to know the answer. Uh, you know, um, there are a few. Actually, I don't think any of them will ask this, but I still really want to know if the White Order will be in Ashes of Creation as a guild, and if Stephen will be leading it. I'm super curious. We already talked about that a little bit. So, all right. Well, I want to kind of keep moving along. So, there was a post on the forums. Now I'm trying to remember who it was by Viral about Asmon, and the title of it is Asmon Day 1 and Vera After His First Death. I don't know if you got a chance to actually watch this or not, Diggs. I don't know if you've been on the forums today or not, but
Which one was it?
it was a post by Viral about Asmon Day 1 and Vera After His First Death, kind of
Oh,
what his
I
reaction will
didn't
be.
watch it.
Yeah,
No, I
so
didn't
I'm going to
watch it.
actually play this. I don't think I'll be able to hear it, but it's pretty short. It's only like 40 something seconds. It's the video that this post took. Let me see if I can get it here. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. So I'm going to play it.
Like, I'm not interested in PvP Tarkov because it's just too hardcore, and like I'm the kind of person that if I play a game and I lose progress in the game, like the reward structure in my brain just like immediately falls apart. Like, because then I feel like I've lost progress, therefore I wasted time, and then I think to myself, I'm wasting time playing this game, and then I think to myself, why am I wasting time playing this game? Then I stop playing the game. Right? That's pretty much how it happens. So, like, almost any game that has, like, a reverse progression ends up making me lose interest in it, like, immediately, as soon as I have that reverse progression a couple of times. Like, I see that happen, I'm done. I don't want to do it again.
So I don't know if you could hear that or not, but it's Asmon, who, of course, does some Ashes of Creation content occasionally. Well, he's reacting to other people's content, but basically this was pulled from Tarkov, so it was not specific to Ashes of Creation. However, he made a mention that Tarkov was too hardcore PvP for him, and I think the word he specifically used was reverse progression. And if he has a couple of instances of reverse progression, he doesn't like to lose the things that he spent his time building up, basically. And if he feels like he's going backwards, then he won't do it again. So I just thought that was interesting, given his sort of size of followers.
If I play a game
and I don't know. I wonder your thoughts on that. Like, what, this is something we've kind of talked about from time to time. Like, what happens to the people who lose items upon death?
But is it losing items? So what is Tarkov's death penalty?
I have not played Tarkov. I'm thinking just more in the vein of upon death, losing time, gatherables, things that we can lose. That's kind of what he's talking about, is reverse progression.
I don't think so, because reverse progression says to me that there's not only XP debt, but also you can lose levels, and then losing items instead of just losing resources, which is more hardcore than Ashes. And I don't know that then time, it depends on how much time you're losing, but usually that's in the vein of having to regain levels is what I think he's talking about. If he's saying, uh, you
I
know,
feel like I've lost progress, therefore.
yeah, yeah, if
Well,
you're
Chad's saying
losing
it's
progress,
Chad is
yeah,
saying it's full loot, so you lose everything, you lose your items.
yeah,
So an extreme version, but still, we have the possibility. We have tougher death penalties here, I guess I would say, and I think someone actually had commented on WoW.
what's we? Who's we?
Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. We what now?
Who is we? We have tougher death
Oh,
penalties.
so
Who's we?
just saying in Ashes of Creation compared to your current MMORPGs, the more popular ones, WoW, Final Fantasy.
Disagree.
You disagree?
No, I don't think so. Yeah,
You don't think
because
it's not tougher?
you only lose some. I mean, there should be some. Well, I mean, maybe there's not any XP debt. Maybe it's just decay. You get some item decay, um, and you could lose items. I think you definitely could in EQ. Um, and uh, you only drop resources. You only drop resources in Ashes. So uh, that seems lesser to me than what I was used to playing with EQ. Um, so I think it's fine. I mean, what are you comparing it to? Current WoW?
Well, yeah, EQ for sure, right? Yeah, definitely not.
What
That
about
one, you have
EQ2?
EXP debt, de-leveling. I mean, de-leveling during a hell level sucked. I mean, that sucks
Mhm.
giant nuts.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think he's thinking Tarkov is on the level of EQ,
Yeah, but I
and
think you can still kind of
and
translate that a little bit to. Um, Vladis was just talking with Royer prior history and part of us starting tonight, and they were kind of chatting about this. Um, I don't know. It's you just have a lot more potential risk. I think someone like him likes to go raid, likes to go. You think of mythics, you think of progression, right? Raid progression. So that was when I raided all the time. You had 8 bosses. You took a couple weeks. You got the first 2 down. Then it might take another couple of weeks, and you spent a lot of time on the 3rd boss. Finally get him down. Move on to the 4th. Um, with that was a lot of death, and that's not really something that you'll see too much in Ashes. You'll probably see death, but it's not going to be treated in the same way. So when I guess the way I read his comments when he talks about reverse progression, it is that could be perceived as going backwards if you have some of these a little bit more challenging death penalties. They're certainly not on EQ level, but they are
yeah,
more
I
so
think
than WoW.
reverse progression seems to me or means to me that you can lose levels and you have full loot of items, which means you have to go out and recapture the items that you have. Plus, these days we're playing survival games, and you drop your loot or you can lose all your loot. You're running around naked. So I think even compared in some ways to even I could play. I was talking about Lego Fortnite, and if I play Lego Fortnite and I could lose my inventory, um, I could also make it so that my world does not have that rule set. But um, it's fairly common to drop loot in survival games, so I think the Ashes death penalties are a little less actually than is typical in
Yeah,
MMOs.
for you and I, we that's fine. We would accept that.
I mean, I'm a casual challenge player, so I mean, I play games on easy, so it's not for you and I. I'm saying it's not too harsh for a person who is casual challenge and plays games on easy. It's okay
So you would not
to
get
me.
frustrated. 40% debt, 60% debt.
I don't think so. You go once you get up you're dead, you die a few
Yeah.
times, then you go do stuff to try and reacquire that debt. I mean, when you are losing levels, yeah, that gets to be super frustrating. Um, But XP debt usually is okay. In the games I've played, I'd have to play it again, but just based on what we've
Have you
heard of
played?
the design,
Have you played a modern
seems
game
fine.
with EXP debt? I'm trying to think anything I've played recently, and I can't.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, XP debt usually does not phase me very much as long as I'm not losing levels.
Yeah, which of course won't happen here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have obviously accepted all this a long time ago, but it's something I'm curious about. Didn't EQ2 have experienced debt? That's a great question. I'm trying to think back to vanilla Aberrat. I think so initially. EQ2 took a very its vanilla servers didn't last for super long. I think probably 6 months to a year. And World of Warcraft kind of numbers wise took over, and they made a lot of changes that were sort of quality of life. Interestingly enough, actually, I think it's May 2nd. They are releasing a new vanilla EQ2 server. Actually, I shouldn't say new, but since that came out in 2004. I'm going to try to find some people to play, because if you want an actual group-based experience, yeah, Royer, I'll play with you, because I will die on this hill that vanilla EQ2 was the superior group game to WoW on release. It was just more challenging. Pretty
And more
quick.
frustrating just to run around in the world. Did they still run into invisible walls? That's my concern.
I never ran into invisible walls, but I
Yes,
also
you
didn't
did.
try to climb mountains
That,
like you. So,
the map is even anywhere you go on the map, you're going to run into invisible walls.
but for people who want to actually experience, again, the real group content, raids, dungeons, even just open world stuff. I mean, it's really hard. It was really hard to solo in EQ2 because you had a lot of grouped mobs, packs. So, but that server will be coming back May 2nd. Although I also think Cataclysm Classic is also releasing, right? May 20th, maybe. It's interesting, right? We're at this place where some of the most fun things we have to look forward to in our, or at least for me, I shouldn't say we, I shouldn't speak for you, are games that existed 10, 20 years ago that are being re-released.
Old people like old stuff.
Who you calling old, man?
I'm saying you have a couple more years.
Couple more years for what? Till I
I
catch you?
mean, no, you're not going to catch me, but
Exactly.
you're, in your mid 40s. I'm just saying.
Why you outed me in front of all these people?
You have gray hair to do that.
No, the gray hair's from kids. That's from having children.
Same difference.
Nostalgia is powerful, but usually just in your memory. That's pretty true. I can obviously go back to EQ2 now or EQ1 even, and I've done that from time to time. But don't
The
last
funny
long.
thing for me with EQ is I guess I used to think that it looked kind of like EQ too. And when I saw people playing vanilla EQ 10 years ago, I was like, it looks like Doom. The graphics look like Doom. And I thought they were so advanced compared to any other game that was out there. But it was
What?
basically Doom level graphics.
You're saying EQ2 looked like Doom?
No. EQ, no, EQ
Okay, I was gonna
did.
say, what in the hell are
And
you?
so but what I'm saying is I think that I had translated EQ2 even over to EQ when I would think about it nostalgically, like, oh yeah, it was so fun, because when I was running around, it's the first time you can like play D&D in this three-dimensional world, and it felt so awesome. And I thought the graphics were just so much better and avant-garde for the time that it released, which is 97. So that's what, like, I don't even know when Doom released. 5 years. When did they start working on it? Right. So it's pretty close to Doom. Um, but in my head, like in 2014, I was thinking, yeah, EQ was such a groundbreaking game, even in the graphics. And then I looked at it and was like, oh my goodness, no, That's my nostalgia eyes looking at it. I think I was really thinking of EQ too, but yeah. And I remember. So who was it? I think it was Lock 6 Time was playing vanilla EQ and for the first time ever. Like he'd never played EQ, and he was like, "People wanted to play this game. Why was this game fun?"
Yeah, you still get that all the time. I think a lot of the newer people, especially like Narc, will comment on that too. Like, who the hell would play EQ? But at the time, it was a badass game. I mean, I lived in Norath for a solid, oh gosh, what, 99 to, 2004. I mean, I went from EQ to EQ2. So a solid 3-4 years. I lived in that. And I actually only had one character that got to max as well that whole time.
Yeah.
So talk
Used to
about
take a long
leveling
time.
time. It was very different back then. So
Mhm.
yes, Blackborough, that brings back a lot of memories. So well, we can keep so the stream coming up Tuesday. Anything you wanted to talk about with it, or anything you're expecting? I don't think there's been any more hints or anything like that. We of course had Steven in Discord talking something about hummus and carrots in the desert. So there's been a lot of speculation as to what that means with regards to the desert.
Nope.
I
just wait until we actually get.
yeah, moist hummus. Moist hummus in the desert? I don't know about that.
Oasis.
Magic, right?
Oasis Dreams.
Because magic. I still think I'm one of those people that the last several streams, I definitely have not had the most interesting titles or the most interesting announcements, and they've turned out to be very good streams. So I'm super curious to see what comes from this one. So, and then we're marching on towards where's the shawarma? Shawarma is really good, Neuro. I make shawarma here, so love to cook for those who don't know. So, well, let me get to some questions. I just all right, make sure I do this correctly on the tech side. So I've pulled some questions from the forums just for us to kind of look through that I thought might be interesting for conversation. Abarat says he is so confident in his product, I think he is intentionally downplaying. That's certainly possible. And Pocket saying also thinking with the lame titled stream might get the month announcement. Yeah, I mean that's I don't know. I have no knowledge of that. I will say again, when they've had these sorts of streams, there usually is something that pops out that people are unaware of. So we'll see. So this first question, I just took these again all from this forum. Skylock the botanist. Are economic nodes and id-node marketplaces still planned to be available at the launch of A2, and thus will players have access to personal shops and player stalls feature for testing? I think this is actually a NARC question. It was posted several times, so by different people. So, do you care about that at all?
No.
I thought you wanted to see all the nodes.
I will see all the nodes. Yeah. I don't know that I care about shops and how that's going to affect shops. I mean, we just don't know what we're going to see in A2, right? So, or when.
Yeah. I don't know. Economic is an important topic. The one thing we still haven't heard anything else beyond Kickstarter related to economic is that whole stock market. I would save that for expansion later on. Something. So personal shops, player stalls. Go ahead.
Yeah, which two nodes were in the Know Your Nodes?
That's so long ago.
Did we get I know that was 2019. I can't remember, but I don't think economic was one of them. Scientific was one of them, and maybe military. Yeah, I don't remember, but I don't think it was economic. So yeah, I think we don't know.
Economic is one of those. I wonder how, some of this, when you have server restarts, I wonder how challenging it would be to kind of get data over long term. There was a question, I don't know that I put it in here, question that was related to that with PvP. Sort of how do you expect to get long-term PvP data out of short-term testing? But interesting thought. Testing in general, I especially having had PAX Day. So did you get to do any more PAX Day?
I didn't do too much. Nope.
Yeah, I logged in for a little bit. Played with some folks. It was okay. No, I know a lot of folks are kind of shitting all over it, but it's early. They need much better direction, I think. But the one thing that sticks out for me is just, it's such a complex game, or it's trying to be, and they give you a week and they don't tell you what to test. They don't tell you what to do. And so you're just sort of wandering around. Well, I guess they said PvP, but I don't know how you're supposed to get to a state of the average casual player, like starting from scratch. How are you supposed to get in a week to a state of being able to even PvP to test those systems? I still think it was more for network testing. They have said that their early access will be in the spring, and the spring is running out. But so I hope for
Economic. Go ahead, finish that
I
up.
was gonna say, I just hope for specific tests. Like I like being told this is what we're doing this week, this is what we're doing this day. There are a couple of companies that have done a very, very good job about that. I think technically they're NDA'd games that I tested, but as you test more and more, it's very clear who has their shit together and who doesn't. So, what were you about to say?
I was going to say economic nodes was the second in the series for Know Your Nodes. And it does say that player shop areas for personal shop deployment and rental stalls comes with the market level 3 village stage. Now, the reason that we haven't seen the last two nodes in this series is because things are changing, and Steven did not want to put those up since things are still in flux. So we don't know for sure that this is still a thing. This is from May of 2019, almost 5 years ago. So we'll have to see.
What do you think is going to be there at the start? You can ask
I have
questions.
no clue. When is it going to start? That's my big question.
Big question. All right. Well, let's. I'm gonna just go through before we run out of time. All right. Next question. It's from Ruby. Do you guys have any plans for biome-wide meta events that encourage all the nodes to work together to overcome a pinnacle multi-raid level threat that is the culmination of the region's wider narrative? What do you think about that?
Say that again. Read it again.
Do you guys have any plans for biome-wide meta events that encourage all the nodes to work together to overcome some challenge? So sort of almost a meta story arc that you want everyone to band together.
I don't understand the use of meta in that, but I would think there is a possibility of some global events. So each metro does influence the other metros around the map to some degree. I would love to see a server where people just let things go to hell with the events and see if we can get a hell world. But yeah, disasters, all kinds of stuff. So how far could we get it? Just letting the events play out as disastrously as possible. Um, what would that server look like? I would love to see that.
How do you motivate people to do that? I agree. That would be interesting to see. But how do you motivate them to not be successful? That sounds like a phantom answer. That's true. Whatever I
Mhm,
commit, go to shit, I will.
mhm.
Just to see what happens. Similar that you're thinking more of the sort of player driven process, which I agree would be fun. Um, this was also had come up in the forums about server merges. And everybody's sort of debating on how you would server merge and who gets to keep what and how do you split up nodes and all of that. Um, I think it was Neuro that pitched this a while back that I've constantly loved was the idea of if you have a server merge or even an expansion later, much later on, to just start over, just have something causes disaster in Vera, and everything is reset. Everybody gets to keep their items, their money, their belongings. So everything that they have gained stays with them. They stay in their same guilds and all of that, but the nodes all get brought back to starting point. There is no more sort of hierarchy in who is running things. But that even kind of goes back to this weird idea that I have of seasons, of having a server where it specifically resets like that every so often. So
Yeah, I think you would have to destroy two server worlds and bring them together rather than merging an existing one, uh, destroying one and merging it. I mean, you can't just merge two existing ones because there's too many differences in terms of world history.
that's true. That would be something to that would be an issue for sure. Although they have to have some method, right, of deploying expansions or whatever they want to call them, new content updates to servers that are in differing states. I don't know how they'll do that. That would be an interesting question. Um, I would love to hear
I
the lore
mean,
behind that.
yeah, for the most part, expansions typically open up new areas of the map, and so you don't have to have a shared history to do that per se.
Yeah, Sir Onsington says I would love to see a polarizing, impossible choice scenario for a node that pisses off a bunch of folks. Yeah, I'm always curious to see what people do. Um, I would just love the opportunity. What's the game that you always loved? It was never turned into an MMO. It was supposed to be
Kingdoms of Amalur.
right, and we did the Re-Reckoning.
Uh-huh.
I still
Yeah.
love the fact that an NPC could send me on a journey. I could come back with whatever they wanted, and when they said, "Hey, turn it over," I could say no and just leave.
Mhm.
That
Yep.
was mind bending to me because most games don't let you do that. I would love to see that sort of approach in MMO, just
Yeah.
to see where things get, especially in a game that includes NPC happiness, where
Hmm.
that's an important part of building some sort of communal structure. Like if all your players, all your citizens, decide not to turn them in, do they get upset? Do they leave? Would be just a very interesting way to play. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Next one, George Black. Always loved George Black. I'm just not on the forums much anymore. He might have muted. He might have. What is it? You can ignore, right? What's it called? Mute.
Yeah, ignore.
I
Um,
think he ignored me because of you.
Interesting. Yeah, but he hasn't been on a lot, but he has been on recently. Anyway. Hmm.
So he says, "How would a dual wield fighter feel different from a two-handed fighter, visually and in gameplay? And then, or any archetype weapon. I mean, I would assume they're going to feel different, right? I mean, you think of a dual wielder probably being faster. Yeah, and Neuro says parries. Yeah, I mean, I would think your skill sets would be different. Anytime you're swinging a much larger sword or mace or whatever it might be, at least you hope it feels different. You are typing a very long response or something. Oh, no, you weren't.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Your fingers are going. What are you doing?
Yeah. No, it's just Aberrat was saying that my favorite games never launched, which is weird, and not true. But it's just that Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning is my favorite single-player MMORPG.
Yeah. To be fair, the games we have covered have not done very well.
Yeah, I would not say that those are my favorite games, though.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that either, but
Yeah, of course, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you could word that differently to make it true. Yeah,
I always want to apologize to Steven, because we started with EverQuest next, then we moved to Chronicles of Illyria. We had some other things in the middle there. Revival. Yeah, here we are. I guess technically COE is still going if you follow along in their Discord anyways. So we need some Tavern Games leaks. Need to gamble. I mean, that's promise part, right? I don't know how much has been said, but I don't know. Is that something you test in Alpha 2?
I mean, it's supposed to be in there, so we would have to test that in Alpha 2.
Probably later.
I would think at some point.
Yeah, I'd assume later. All right. Sonic Explosion says, can we get more clarification on how biomes are classified? For example, would the Jundark be considered one biome or two, since it includes both a forest area and a mountain area? I kind of put this in here because does it matter? Like, I guess I like Sonic. I'm just trying to think of how it, like, you're going to use a question on that. I don't know how it matters. Like, if it's one biome or two, does that change what you're going to do? I don't know.
I mean, it would change what I would do, but also seasons could affect that. So, I mean, I don't know. Right. I think, like you say, what content is there at the present moment? How is that affected by the level of the nodes nearby? So I don't know. I think ha ha ha. Terradin says my favorite single player MMO is probably New World. I feel ya.
Followed immediately by ban Terradin. Never. New World's, well, we won't go down that road. We probably have opinions about New World that several people might not agree with. But
yeah,
as Neuro does point out, nodes can have multiple biomes. So.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, what do you think is gonna motivate you to move from biome to biome?
I don't think that it's going to be the biomes that motivate me to move unless it comes down to crafting. If I have something,
resources.
Yeah,
I agree.
If I am in need of something that I can't get through trade, then I'll have to move across biomes or across nodes. I had always planned on having a freehold and a farm and being quite centrally located. I never really envisioned that I would be someone that necessarily spends a ton of time exploring everything. I mean, I would a little bit, but most of my time would just be spent on a freehold. With the way freeholds are now, I don't know that that's likely or not anymore. So I don't know, actually, now that I think about it. Am I really going to be driven? Because I don't know now that I'll stay one place. So am I somewhere long enough to need resources from another? I don't know.
Yeah, because you have to be level 50 to own a node now, so you'd probably be moving about while you're getting to max level. And then once you have your freehold established, you might stay, but um, as you're doing stuff just to get to level 50, you might be moving around. We'll have to see. Okay.
I could very possibly just decide to go back to that Chronicles of Illyria mindset that I had before and just figure out how I can be mischievous and see what kind of fun can come from that. Though I should probably not mention all that publicly. No one's going to want me in their node. Could be fun. Actually, we're going to go. This is something I want to talk about towards the end. So we're thinking very similar on this. I'm just going to read it off and kind of go to the next one. Anorak said, how will Ashes of Creation effectively address the challenges of sustaining and engaging player experience when one or multiple servers experience a significant decrease in population density, thereby impacting the core gameplays or core game loops functionality? Especially when server merging is unfeasible due to the constraints of a dynamic server node system. It's an interesting question. It's actually not the one that I was going to move past, so we can talk about it.
Yeah, I wonder what that means. Your nodes are not progressing fast enough. Is that going to matter? I wonder what that will mean for a server. You only have uh, two or three metros going back and forth. That could be interesting. I think it would have to get so low that you only have one metro.
Well, what I found curious with this question is like, why are we asking it? So why are you, if we are in a decline, right? You're having server merges. Like, are you really worried about new player experience? I mean, you obviously want to get people back at some point, but if you're currently in the state of merging, like I would think that's a reset point. Like I'm not really going to worry about new player experience right now. I want to get things settled and then
Does it
move
say
on.
new player experience?
Oh,
Does it
that's
say that?
I mean,
It
that was the
doesn't say
question.
new.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
Huh?
Engaging player experience. I read that wrong.
Uh-huh. Yeah. An engaging player experience. So how do you keep people interested when there's not a
Yeah.
large population on the server, right? But I think that happens once there's only one metro on that server. If there's two metros, they're probably still going to be going back and forth against each other. I think there would still be enough conflict there um, to keep it fun. If you don't have enough to sustain two metros, I think you would have a problem.
I also,
And then we'll have to see where they go in terms of shutting down servers.
I also think it's interesting that we're talking about server merges and asking questions about how do you maintain people's happiness essentially when you're losing them for a game that is not out yet. So I think that explains a lot of people's mindset going into this.
Well, server merges are typical, though. They typically happen at some point.
Next question from Ratty. I'm curious about the potential for a piracy mechanic in Ashes of Creation in games like Archeage. Players could become hostile to everyone, unable to join non-pirate guilds, and had their own pirate island. Can you share if Ashes of Creation will include a similar piracy feature? I mean,
Well, if you're corrupted, then you're hostile to everyone, right?
yeah, but you could still be in a guild, right? I think the question here is, can you, like he's saying, unable to join non-pirate guilds? Whether that's going to be a similar function. If you choose to be a pirate, can you only be in a pirate guild and have a pirate island?
Yeah, I mean, you can't do too much. So I don't know. I don't know what hostile to everyone exactly means other than corruption.
Yeah. There definitely will be pirates. I think that's the whole intention of making the open seas corruption free.
Yeah.
It will certainly encourage that kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Spitfire says, will there be any systems in place to support single casual players in finding parties? Oh, this is the one I want to talk about. Actually, we can just go through this now. Will there be any systems in place to support single casual players in finding parties for group content? Either a dungeon finder or recruitment chats. Will these play tests be available in the open world, or play styles be available in the open world, or will you be dependent on constantly finding players to group with? I actually want to skip forward quite a lot to my question because we're actually towards the end of our time already. So I'm gonna, pop mine up because it's in the similar vein. Although I will preface this by saying, I am not thinking about dungeon finders in this. That's not something I want, like a WoW dungeon finder. But I had a similar question, and so I kind of want to spend some time seeing your opinion on this. Which was, given Ashes of Creation is a group-based game at its core, do you think new players should bear all of the responsibility of finding other people to play with? Or do the game systems share some of this responsibility? And then I specifically say it's not referencing a group finder. So, having played many MMORPGs, do you think it's up to us to find other people to play with? Like, is that our responsibility, or do the designers share some of that in the systems that they implement?
I don't think of it in that manner at all. So the way I think of, but I am not the target audience for Ashes of Creation. So people might not do this. But to me, one of the beauties of having open world housing is you should know where many of your fellow players live. If you've become the citizen of a node, you should know where their house is. And you should be able to get there. That's also, I was thinking of this when freeholds did not kick in at level 50, but yeah, if you have open world housing, you should know where your neighbors are, and those neighbors who like to play at the same time you do. So you just go to your neighbor and say, hey, I know where you're going to be. Also, we play so differently. Like, I don't know, if I want to find you, I'm probably not going to look for you in game. I'm going to hit you up on Discord first and ask you where you are. And I'll be asking again those people who play at the same time that I do. So I don't think we need an in-game group finder, but I do think that Ashes is already inherently doing things to help us find each other because we have open world housing. We'll just have to see how well that works out.
This has been my thought for the new player experience. There were three things that would come to mind as potentially challenging for players that are just joining. One of them was this: it's a group-based game, so I think historically, Aberrat mentions even in EQ2, you knew the people on your server. You did. The question I would have is the game funneling you that way? When I join in current, really anything, World of Warcraft, EverQuest 2, Final Fantasy, I mean, I can essentially play. I'm not necessarily funneled towards groups of people because I don't really need them. So when you have a game like this, because I think of vanilla WoW, starting as a gnome, eventually you get to the quest that leads you to the cave that required a group of 2 or 3 people to kill in order to finish the quest. And there were other examples like that. EverQuest 2, you were kind of funneled towards people. And so I assume there will be ways that we get funneled towards others. We have 4 starting areas. I don't know. It's how much of the
Well,
responsibility is us, how much is them.
yeah, I still don't think of it as responsibility, but um, one of the major differences with EverQuest and I mean not EverQuest, Ashes of Creation and other games is that um, you don't out level areas. So there's reasons for max level characters and higher level characters to be adventuring near starting areas. Um, the nodes rise and fall, so it's not like you leave the starting area and there's never any reason to go anywhere near there again. Whereas previously, um, you know, there wouldn't be anybody around for the new player because most people have left and are playing in the max level areas. That should not be quite the thing in uh, Ashes of Creation.
Yeah, taverns will be group finders, right? I mean, I would think so. Job boards, other ways to sort of sign up and find people, and that's what I'm getting. I'm not advocating for a group finder. I don't want a WoW style. You push a button and it teleports you somewhere. I'm just saying in general. I hope that the systems are created in a way that they funnel us to each other. That they funnel people who don't know each other to each other. I guess as I should also specify. I'm also not really talking about you and I join at the same time, but who do we find that we didn't know beforehand, and how do we find them?
I mean, that's the other beauty of most of it being open world rather than instance. So, if people are not stuck in instances, you should be running into people. And you should be running into kind of the same people that are, around your node.
And then the other part is the time it takes to get from one place to another without fast travel. Again, this is all thinking in the sort of new player retention mindset. Yes, I have a board. I can see digs posted. I need help killing some NPC over here. And I message you and I say, I'm down. I'm ready to go. But I have to, but it's a little bit of a journey. I can't just teleport to you. Again, I'm not advocating that I should be able to. But the new player, then there's a travel component, and a travel component through areas that could be a little challenging. I'm just thinking of that experience. Then you throw PvP into that, and me getting to you. Now, again, I don't think that we're going to see just bloodshed everywhere. I don't think there's going to be a gank fest. Well, there might be at the start of Alpha 2 as people get into the systems. But once things are up and running, I do think that will be rare, but it could happen. So all those things combined, I don't know. Does that impact new player retention? Having to
Well, not
find a
even
group, having to get
not
somewhere.
even new player retention. But yeah, I was in a strange debate about that on the forums this past week because somehow we were arguing even though we were in agreement, really. So my issue with the fast travel, with not having fast travel, is that I like to go to social events. I especially like to go to social events where devs are at. But because I'm primarily an explorer and I play hardcore time, so I could be exploring for 5 or 6 hours a day, I could be way on the other side of a map when Steven or Margaret say, "Hey, guess what? We're showing up over here. Come join us and hang out with us for an hour." They used to do that a lot in EQNX Landmark. So after they'd do a live stream, they'd be like, "Okay, we're gonna be over here. Come join us." Um, and if I'm on the other side of the map, I might not be able to get over there. And you know, I could be 2 hours away or 3 hours away. So I would like there to be some way that I could get to people. I mean, I don't know how often will these content creators will be doing podcasts. But it was common in other games that I played that, after a podcast, those podcasters would say, "Hey, okay, we're done. We're gonna have a party here. Everybody meet up." And then you have to get there. And I like to do those kinds of things. Um, but Steven's main focus is to make sure that we don't have Zergs. So I think he's going to be trying to make sure that, it's mostly slow travel.
The
Or
reason,
not so slow travel.
the reason why these three things stick in my head, having to find a group, the PvP components, and then the not having fast travel. And when I think about the new player, again, all of us, everyone that's watching this, obviously is probably going to be an Alpha 2. People that probably watch us on YouTube at this point also know quite a bit about Ashes of Creation. But there's a lot of people out there that don't follow it religiously. And so I'm glad you mentioned the 2 hours, because I think back to Steam, the Steam return policy. Do you know how many hours it is that you can't play above in order to return a game?
Oh, I don't know.
2 hours.
2 hours.
And I don't think that they came to that out of the blue. I think there's a period there that's a critical, crucial time period. And so, in my mind, new player experience, that first 2 hours, very important. So, I don't know. These are interesting ideas, interesting things that we will get to see soon. Well, soonish. Well, we are at 9 o'clock.
Wait. I
Go
have
ahead.
a question.
I have
Because
time.
you were playing something, you jumped in and you only spent an hour. This was this past week. Was it Throne and Liberty? You played something. Was it Bitcraft?
Bitcraft, yes. Bitcraft, I was going to say, Throne and Liberty is technically NDA. Bitcraft is not. Yeah, that one, that's a great point. Now it's different systems, very, very early. Very, very early. I think
you played longer than 2 hours. It's just in comparison to Nightingale.
Terradin, I think, played some. Lethality played some as well. It's very much a group-based game. It's builder, survival, and not having someone else was very challenging to play that game. It got to a point because its model, your claim, it deteriorates over time, and so you have to constantly keep it supplied. Once your supplies get to zero, you lose your plot, so people can come in and take stuff and do things. And getting supplies is not necessarily easiest by yourself. So I actually got to a point where I built most of the initial stations and stuff like that. But I got to a point where I was spending all of my time trying to just get supplies so that I could get above 24 hours so that I could come back in tomorrow. Again, it's very much a group-based game. I think they have some very interesting ideas, but it's a very early state. So not that they should have ways to push me towards other people, but certainly it's a somewhat of a good example of group content. How quickly you burn out, how boring it can be, or how hard it can even be when you're by yourself. But yeah, Bitcraft. I think technically it's still. I guess I still have access. I don't think they closed down until May. Check your spam email if you ever signed up for it. They've been rolling out invites. Unfortunately, they tie their invites to email, so you can't just easily get one from somebody else like PAX Day. But yeah, it's sort of dawning. It's very quickly dawning on me why I have so many games on Steam that I just don't play. That I play partly and then I kind of quit playing. It's because, and part of that conversation with Vladis was, not just Nightingale, but also some other survival games. Enshrouded. I after I got to where I couldn't get anywhere else with Nightingale, I went to Enshrouded. I thought, all right, this is another one that people love, survival game, base builder. Let's see what it's like. I did not last maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. Again, I think that it's not a bad game. I think it's just that I don't have anyone to play with. And so it gets very boring. That's why I would rather be playing well, I think I commented this on Discord because I had access to Bitcraft and to PAX Day, and here I am playing Epic 7, which is a mobile gotcha game. Running through its story that's been out for several years at this point. So, I guess my point being, group-based games. It is going to be super important for your new players that don't have friends already playing to funnel them, to help take care of them, dare I say, care bear them for the first several hours so that they can actually get used to your games and systems. Actually, you know what? There was another question. Let me see if I can go back. I got a few minutes. Do you have a few minutes?
Yeah.
See if I can find this question. That was interesting. That was an interesting question too, but that's not what I'm looking for. Crap. When might we see the rogue, battle pets, taming profession, RNG? This one was, I don't know why this would ever happen. Anion says, will RNG probabilities for enchanting or drop rates be public? I don't know why you would make that public.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Loot boxes have to be by law, but I mean, they're not loot boxes. So,
yeah.
I don't know why you would make that public.
Yeah, that's weird.
Where did this go? Oh, here it is. I thought this was an interesting question. So, as it Cannerson says, one of, if not the main feature of Ashes is its systems and their complexities. What is your approach from a UX standpoint that would hopefully allow new players to be able to easily understand systems through Ashes GUI instead of resorting to external spreadsheet simulators, which takes away from actually learning through playing the game?
I don't use external spreadsheet simulators when I play MMORPGs, so I have no clue. Usually, the UI is pretty self-evident,
Yeah.
I think.
So this question, I don't know. I don't really like the question because my thought is that, yes, there are some very complex systems. They interact in very complex ways. I don't know that we should expect every player to care about the complexities every day. So I don't know that it's super important to show them, the new player, these complexities. I think you could very well overwhelm them and introduce things slowly over time. Let curiosity kind of take them new places. I don't know that it's, and maybe I'm overreading what they're putting here with its systems and complexities, but you're making a face.
No, I'm still trying to understand. I'm repeatedly reading through this this post because I don't understand how that would work. I think typically, and then with what I've seen of Ashes of Creation, I look at the UI and I might start taking notes as I start delving down. But I mean, I think you don't need spreadsheets. People like to do spreadsheets, but you don't need to do spreadsheets.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that even with Nightingale, um, you and Terradin I think were referring to spreadsheets for like what the traders will offer, and I was just using what the UI provided. I just go into the guidebook and say, "Oh, here it is. This is what I want. Here it is." And it might take me a little longer than it would to use the spreadsheet, but it was fine what they had in the UI, and that's early access, I assume that's going to get better. Like right now in Nightingale, it used to be that we would have to go find the trader and then buy stuff physically off of the trader. But now we can buy stuff out of the guidebook if we've
Yeah, I
been to
saw
that
that.
trader already. So
I don't know how I feel about that.
that's even better. It's just easy. It's easier
Yeah.
for sure. I'm just saying. So, in terms of the need for a spreadsheet, I mean, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to need a spreadsheet.
Yeah. And Freed Speaks, I agree with what you said. A great game, just like real life, will engage you enough to make you want to learn the systems. I agree. That's why I see this question. I don't know that we need these big, organized, complex UI elements to guide. I think you give people just enough to get them interested, to get them engaged. And then over time, they can start, if they want to create their spreadsheets, then go right ahead. I think you can very easily, because this is a complex game. It is a very complex game. I think you can very easily overwhelm players. Just as much as you can bore them, you can give them too much information to a point of turning them away that way. So there was a game, I'm forgetting the name of it, on Steam. It was like a colony simulator or something. It was like a space kind of thing, but because I'm a nerd, it was basically profit, selling, buying, production. Oh, this will be fun. And I do, like you said, I do spreadsheets. I will track things. I'll write them down. I have my notepad here. I'll always take notes. That game overwhelmed the shit out of me. Like I didn't last 20 minutes. I was like, there's 20 different panels here. I have no idea what they mean. I see a bunch of numbers. Like this was supposed to be for me. Like I kind of gravitate towards that play style. I mean, I want to run a farm. I want to min max crops and animals, right? That was far too much. That was like overkill. So I do think you can go too far with trying to explain the complexities of your game rather than just letting players naturally learn them. I think as long as you do things in a way that helps avoid humongous irreversible pitfalls, which I don't think will happen here anyways, because you'll have ways to respec and stuff like that. But certainly if you don't tell a player that, oh, you make this choice, it's permanent. Okay, that's different. Well, all right. We are well over our time. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Any questions?
Nope. Let's save it for after the live stream.
Yes, we will have a lot to chat about. Like we said, the live stream is Tuesday, right? The 30th. 10 days after that, not long after that, we will have, again, I'm going to pop this up for anyone that missed it. We will have an AMA with Stephen Sharif with great content creators, Vladis, Nice Gaming, Loreforged, and Jamie Chaos. So we'll be checking that out as well. And yeah, everyone, I hope you have a great week. Thanks for joining with us either live or on the YouTubes or on TikTok if they don't ban that from us. And we will see you back here next Sunday. Peace.
Ciao.